Exercise as you caught me. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's time for Tuning to Life, where you learn the stories behind the music, compose your life like a symphony. Right now, we're doing amazing trios, where three people making the music of 4 or 5 or greater. They just got a lot of sonic in your face, noise, music, lots of sound, wall of sound. Last week was ZZ Top. This week it's Muse, the Mates from England, and we'll talk about them in 5 minutes. This is one of their newest songs from their latest album, which came out in July. So it's hot off the press. Okay, not that hot. It's 3 months. 3 months off the press. So enjoy. And like I said, I'll see you in 5. You caught me off guard. I was sleeping. No, I wasn't. I was just listening to that song. That's probably only, it's about the 10th time I've listened to that song. It was on the album they released in, was it Power to the People? Something to the People. Anyways, in end of July, the Cherish. It's only been out 3.5 months. It's a pretty darn good song. It's one of my favorite Muse tracks. We're up there with Nights of Cydonia, Uprising, Massive Blackhole, and a lot of other stuff. When I first heard Muse, I think it was Uprising. I think that's the first song I heard by them. And I thought it was the Killers. And at the time, I just loved the Killers. And so I looked through my Killers discs and couldn't find it. And I had all the Killers discs. And I'm like, who the hell is it? And then I found out it was Muse. Saw Muse in concert. Matt Bellamy is he's a crazy, talented dude. He plays keyboards, does the lead vocals. He produces. He writes most of the songs, like a vast majority. I think drummers participated in writing 2 songs. I think they have 11 studio albums now. So I think the drummer wrote or co-wrote 2 or 3 songs, and then the bass player co-wrote 2 or 3 songs. So it's mostly Matt Bellamy. But like I said, in some of the words there, I think Matt Bellamy's solo would not be the same as with his 2 mates from England. They met in community college. It's just a great story. I think it parallels one of my bands. I was in a lot of bands, and if you've never been in a band, it's a unique experience. You probably have teams at work or whatever, but when you're in a band, it's similar. There's let's say the average number, which is why a trio is so amazing, and White Stripes even more amazing because there's 2 of them, even though Jack White played multiple instruments. But so you got, usually it's an average of 4 people. And on average, there's one person that's super motivated, wants to get a recording contract, drives people to creativity, to writing songs, doing stuff, to practicing, to coming to gigs on time, all that kind of stuff. And then there's one that's there's 1 or 2. So the next 2 groups, there's 1 or 2 of them. So there's 1 or 2 people that are kind of in the middle. They're like kind of journeymen or journeywomen, journey people, I guess. And they'll show up to practices and they're serious and they learn the songs and stuff. But the band is not their number one thing. But they're there, they're dedicated, and they're sort of reliable. And then there's 1 or 2 goofs. And the goofs are just like, I want to party, I want to be in a band. And sometimes they show up to the practices, sometimes they don't. They're late to gigs. I was in one thing where the drummer he didn't show up to the gig. It really pissed me off. And then luckily, one of the other bands, it's a kind of a common story. It seems like it's not a movie. No, it really happens. Like This Is Spinal Tap, everything in This Is Spinal Tap, to a certain degree, I wasn't as big as Spinal Tap, but to a certain degree, things like that have happened. Getting lost backstage, losing your equipment, having one guy who's like totally in equipment, and then he buys some equipment, and you think, oh, cool, we bought a really good new PA system so we can use it. And then he's like, oh, can't touch it. It's the new blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, what the hell? Why did you get it if we can't use it? That's just stupid. Anyway, so it gets kind of frustrating after a while, especially if you're the person that's driven, which is usually my role. I wrote most of the songs, hooked up most of the gigs. Anyway. So anyways, these 3 guys met in community college. Actually 2 of them, the drummer and Matt. So Dominic and Matt had known each other a while. So they're the co-founders of Muse. Dominic being the drummer and Matt being the guitar, keyboard, singer, songwriter, amazing sonic guy. And they met this other guy. Wait a second. Did I mix up names? Cliff. Anyways, so they met this other guy and they said, hey, you want to join the band? And he's like, yeah, man, I love you guys. Let's get a band together. But he was a drummer too. So they already had a drummer. And so basically, I wasn't there, but I could just see the conversation. Here's how the conversation went down. You imagine, yeah, mate, we really love you. We really love you in our band, but we already got a drummer. It's like, oh, maybe you can play bass. And then all right, I'll take bass lessons. And then there you go. He's a drummer, took bass lessons. And he's actually a pretty freaking good bass player now. So, yeah, it's just kind of funny. I mean, there's stories of that all through rock and roll, like the Sex Pistols, Ramones. Was it also the Go-Go's? There's just a bunch of groups. Oh, B-52s, definitely. So they just kind of who knows? They were at a party or something, and they're like, "Oh, let's start a band." So they started a band. None of them play instruments, so I'll play guitar, I'll sing, I'll play bass, I'll learn the drums, and then they come together. And to me, I mean, I love the Ramones, I love the B-52s, I love the Sex Pistols. They just came together. It's just kind of cool. Anywho, so we're talking about Muse. So I just really like that, and they've been together ever since. So I think they came together. I think they were like 16 or 17. Yeah, and they've been together ever since. So that's pretty cool. And a lot of the quotes will be talking about that, how long they've known each other, where they couldn't have done this without each other, and now they're just having total fun. It's like, like this song's progressive metal. I think maybe in their catalog they might have as many as 7 songs like this. So they got a bunch of songs. So on average, there's 8 songs per record, and I think they have 10 or 11. Anyway, so it's a lot of songs, but maybe less than 10%, maybe even less than 5% are this kind of progressive metal feel. And this is their progressive metal. Hey, I didn't do any squirrel stuff, Wayne. I am on track. I am like a laser. I'm not now. Yeah, Wayne Gabriel, my good friend, he's going to co-host when I do 80s hair bands. We don't know how long that's going to be, because even though this is Amazing Trios, it's not Amazing Trio month. There's enough Amazing Trios to last us till the end of the year. And remember, there's going to be a special Halloween show where we do one of my songs. And so, yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of people on that one. It'll be a good song. I'll pick a good one. I've written hundreds, and I would say I have, I'm guessing around 40 pretty good songs, and the rest need work. Anyway, so yeah, Muse is good, and that's what a lot of things. Anyways, we're almost halfway into the show. I haven't even done one quote, so let's get to a quote, shall we? Yes, we shall. Okay, so first quote is from Chris Wolstenholme, who's the bass player, who used to be a drummer, who they said, "Hey, we really like you, mate. Come and join us." And he does backup vocals, and like I said, he's contributed to less than 5% of the songs. Most of it's Matt Bellamy. Anyways, he's like, I think that this was an interview, and it's in a longer answer to the question, but I just picked this out. I think that's something that we've all learned to appreciate. That it's not about the individual or massaging your own ego. It's about creating music that sounds good when you're playing together. Amen. And that applies to all areas of life and leads us to the life hack. To learn to compose your life like a symphony is working together in collaboration always yields better results than when you focus on yourself. Teaming over ego. And by the way, when I say ego, I mean I used to be a psychotherapist, so I know the ego, the serpent, all the Jungian and Freudian typologies and all that good stuff, and other psychology focuses and studies and areas also have equivalents to like the insect. So the ego is not a bad thing. It's when you allow the ego to take over and like drive all your actions and your thoughts, and you become narcissistic. So ego, everyone has an ego. It's not bad to be egotistical. It's not bad to be an egoist. It's just when you become overly narcissistic and everything is about you. That's when people refer to, it's like, oh, he's got a big ego. No, he's got the same size ego we all have. He's just let the ego supersede all the other parts of the brain in your personality. So that's what that means. And so, anyways, when you team and you collaborate and you bring together, I know, there's the old saying, the sum is greater than the whole of its parts. No, I messed that one up. The whole. Wow, woo! Most famous thing. And Ben Cover for $50. Oh, you blew it. You didn't say it right. Oh, well. I never want to be on Jeopardy anyway. So, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that's really true for the band. And if you watch the intro, it's named just things off the top of my head. If I kind of was reading rock history or really thought about it, or went through my 15,000 vinyl or my thousands and thousands of CDs and kind of went through each of the groups, I could find a lot more. But I took people like the Police, Supertramp, Supertramp's like it's the most egregious in history. The whole story of Supertramp just pisses me off. Crime of the Century was like, we'll probably do something from there. One of my favorite albums of all time. If you listen to that or you listen to any of the albums, half the songs are Roger Hodgson, and they give Supertramp credit, but half the songs it's kind of like Lennon McCartney. You can tell what parts of the song or what song is Lennon, what song is McCartney. So the same thing happened with Supertramp with Hodgson and Davies, and it was half and half. It just so happened Hodgson in Breakfast of America, the most popular songs on that album were his voice. And then when they split up, and it was a big mess, music industry interjected like they always do. They play on the egos. That's right. They play on the egos and musicians. And they split up a really good group that was way better together than they were separate. Anything Supertramp did after Hodgson left was just and all of Hodgson's solo stuff was just But together, I mean, Breakfast and Champions, Crisis What Crisis, Crime of the Century, even in the quiet moments, their first album, Indelibly Stamped, all of those were just some of my favorite albums of all time. And then when they split up, Roger Hodgson just the voice of Supertramp. It's like, no, you weren't. You were a voice of Supertramp too. So the music industry does that. So that was a big, long, winding road, a rabbit trail that brings us together. Muse, which three guys have been together since they've been 16 or 17, and so that's something. They haven't allowed their egos, especially like it'd be really easy for some record executive to just talking to Matt Bellamy's area. It's like, you don't need these two. You're the talent here. It's like, no, I don't think that's true. I think him without the other two, it wouldn't be Muse. It wouldn't be as big. Their solo stuff. In fact, he has had some solo stuff. Their solo stuff would be lesser than Muse. And so I'm glad they're still together. Music industry is for the most part, jerks. Anyways, I gave examples like Styx, Chicago, Kansas. Kansas was lucky because Steve Walsh came back, but Kansas without Steve Walsh sucked. Steve Walsh without Kansas sucked. And when they came back together, they actually did a couple more pretty good albums. But I'm just saying, I'm glad Muse didn't go that direction. It looks like they're going to stay together, and we'll see. Actually, I think it's this next quote. I'm not sure, but it might be. Let's see. So this is from the drummer. So Dominic Howard is a drummer-songwriter. He's a co-founder of Matt Bellamy. And he's like, we consider ourselves lucky. We're still making music, but more importantly, enjoying music. Enjoying making music because we're not just making music for the hell of it. We want and we love it and we feel that it's good enough to show the world. Okay, so that's not the one. Let's go back to we'll go back to Chris Walton's Homes because I think it kind of speaks to what I was talking about more. I think that's something that we've all learned to appreciate, that it's not about the individual or massaging your own ego. It's about creating music that sounds good when you're playing together. So, yeah. But anyways, I like the drummers too. So we'll go back to Dominic's because that leads to the second life hack for tuning into live. So we consider ourselves lucky. We're still making music. More importantly, enjoying making music because we're not just making music for the hell of it. We want and we love it and we feel like it's good enough to show the world. Wouldn't that be awesome if all your work, you were just anxious to show the world because you put your heart into it, you put your passion into it, regardless of what it is. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be writing. It doesn't even have to be in the arts. It could be like project management. It could be like a real cool audit, like my friend Rob Berry. It could be anything, and you just do it, and your passion's in it, and then you actually want to show it to the world because it's just so good. It's going to have an impact, and you know that it's going to have an impact. So that's pretty cool. So what did we learn from that quote? And the story behind the music is luck is when preparedness and opportunity come together. Enjoy the fruits of your labor or stop doing them. And I know for a lot of us, we don't think we have the choice in the matter. We don't think we can stop doing them if we don't have the passion. So here's my suggestion. If you noticed, your passions and your heart and your soul and your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts, those are all a barometer. So if you have, for an extended period of time, have not been feeling jazz, not been feeling your passion, you need to start developing and looking for something to go. So if you can't afford to leave what you're doing now, great, don't do it. Don't do anything stupid. Stay there, but then start working on what's next. Stop working on what's going to feed you. Start working on what's going to fill your passion, and as well as pay the bills. That's just the way to go. So don't do anything stupid and quit. You say, I'm going to quit. I can't pay my bills. Well, I mean, a lot of people suggest that. I don't recommend that, especially once you have a family and a house and obligations. It's not necessarily a trap, but they are responsibilities. So you can't just, I think I'll just blow everything up. It's like, nah. Sometimes you just can't do that. You have responsibilities. But anyway, yeah, so just find your passion. Man, I really believe in this. Luck is when preparedness and opportunity come together. I believe, I don't know Mandarin, I don't know Cantonese, but I was told, I believe it's Mandarin, that the word symbol, so a lot of Mandarin, they have individual word symbols, they have individual letter symbols, and then sometimes words are like a combination of one, two, obviously a combination wouldn't be one, a combination of two or three or even four word symbols brought together. And I was told the word symbol, I believe it's in Mandarin, not Cantonese, for luck is the word symbol for preparedness and the word symbol for opportunity together. So luck is you get opportunity and you were prepared, and so that's luck. A lot of people think just luck is, hey, this thing came on there and I'm luck. It's like, no, you actually prepared for it. You've been prepared for it all your life. You were present. You have to be present too, and you're open to the opportunity. You saw the opportunity, and you you grabbed onto it, and you sucked the marrow out of life, man. That's what you do. Okay, so with that, let's go to the third quote from Matt Bellamy, the Sonic Man, the guy, the man of the hour, the guy pushing forward. So he says, I have been lucky to experience a lot of the spoils that happen in a rock band, but being with the three guys in this band from such a young age, 16 and 17, we aren't going to let any of the spoils change us. Singer, songwriter, guitar, keyboardist, and co-founder, Matt Bellamy. I mean, just think we'll get to the life hack in a second, but just imagine that. You're with people, you have a common vision. You work on that common vision. Sure, you're going to have, adversity and you can get into arguments and there's going to be conflicts. But if you focus on the passion, focus on what you're trying to create together, and you work together, you can work through it. And then it's always better in the outcome when you come together and you're collaborating together. So that's a beautiful thing, makes me want to cry. Hey, it looks like there's 4 people on, so Wayne's the only one. Here, let's put up a Wayne thing. I'll pick Wayne's favorite. Well, not his favorite. Oh. You're a super focused, no laser pointer rat today. Okay, well, technically true, that is now. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my friend Wayne Gabriel, and he'll be joining me as co-host when we do 80s hair bands. I don't know if I'm going to call it 80s hair bands, but it'll be like that, because some of them were in the 70s and stuff. Like, I'm sure aMUSEd would be in there, and they were in the 70s, even though they're in 80s and 90s and still around. But they have a good story to tell. They were known. I think Joe Perry's pretty clean and has stayed clean for decades. I think Steven Tyler kind of goes back and forth. By the way, Steven Tyler started off as a drummer, and then he's the amazing vocalist for aMUSEd and plays keyboards too. Yeah, but they were known as the Toxic Twins just because they did a bunch of drugs and stuff and write about Night in the Ruts. That's right. A play on Right in the Nuts, Night in the Ruts, one of their worst albums, done with Marriage, probably their worst album because it was without Joe Perry. And then they did another one without Joe Perry. And Joe Perry did the Joe Perry Project. I think he did 2 records, and those were good. Anyways, I did kind of go on a rabbit trail there. Thank you very much, Wayne. We knew we couldn't make it without being a squirrel. And so, anyway, but we will do 80s hair or whatever we call it. Glamour rock or whatever it's going to be called. Wayne will be coming on here, and we'll also have one of his characters if he's not character enough. So that's kind of a preview what's coming in future months. And you know what? You're probably wondering, hey, Mark, you showed that last quote by Matt Bellamy, but you never said what the life hack was. Wow, thank you for paying attention. Okay, let's go back to the quote, and then we'll go to the life hack, and then we'll review. So, Matt Bellamy, I have been lucky to experience a lot of the spoils that can happen in a rock band. But being with the 3 guys in this band from such a young age, we aren't going to let any of the spoils change us. So one of the things I didn't mention, so I just mentioned the negative, which for whatever reason, most humans kind of go there. So there's adversity, there's disagreements, there's conflicts, all that kind of stuff. That happens in a group. But guess what? Success, the elements of success, being successful, having money and fame, and the freedom to go do whatever album and any style you want to do, freedom to tour whenever you want to tour. I'm just talking about music, but it could be any industry. What is the equivalent of being able to tour any tour you want, being able to do any music you want, having all those spoils, having enough money to live your life the way you want to live. That could spoil you too. That could ruin the game. There are so many people that found success and then they just obliterated themselves with their success, whether it was drugs or whatever. And that's actually the exploitation of the music industry. It's not as well, I don't even know. I haven't been involved in it in a long time, but it used to be very exploitative. They would find what they thought was the strongest member as far as talent in a band, and then they would always approach him or her and try to pull them and give them a solo career and all that kind of stuff. And they would find their weakness, which was whatever their biggest desire was, whether it was money, and often it wasn't, drugs, sexual partners, adulation, bling, whatever it was, and they would just push it on them and just try to pull them away. It's just sad to see. If you've never seen the rise and fall of Western civilization, the heavy metal years, I think it's the rise and fall of Western civilization part 2, the heavy metal years, I recommend you watch it. It is just sad. It's like the guitarist for Wasp, just talking about it now just wrenches my heart, and I just feel super bad for him and his mom. There's scenes with him and his mom, and they're just interviewing him. Anyways, go watch the movie. It's horrid what the music industry did to that guy. It's just very sad. And then kind of tongue-in-cheek, they have Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley doing these vignettes in between, just talking about heavy metal and the rock industry, the music industry, and they're like all dressed to the nines, and then they have beautiful women behind them. Anyways, Penelope Spheris did an awesome job. You've never seen it, do it. And so now with that, let's just go. What is the life hack from that, man? What is the life hack from Matt Bellamy's quote? So when you bring family and friends with you, success is that much more sweeter, deeper, and lasts longer. So when you were self-focused, narcissistic, just looking at yourself, all about yourself, thinking about yourself, just inwardly, and I'm an introvert, so I think inwardly too, but I have friends. You just it's ancestral almost, and you just like kind of, you watch your ego and your mind just just eat yourself. So surround yourself with people who support you, with people you support, people have a common vision, common love, and go for that. When you surround yourself, that's when success is the sweetest and when it will last the longest and be more meaningful. You know what I mean? So let's just review the last 3, and then we'll go into how I use copyrights, blah 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 blah. So working together in collaboration always yields better results than when you focus on yourself. Teaming over ego. I think you might have noticed a theme in today's show. Luck is when preparedness and opportunity come together. Enjoy the fruits of your labor or stop doing them. And then when you bring family and friends with you, success is that much more sweeter, deeper, and lasts longer. And as always, living your best life creates a better world for everyone. I truly believe that. And as I always say, I am part of everyone. And so when you live your best life, it benefits me, it benefits you, it benefits the whole world. So why not do it? Why not live your best life instead of living your worst life, or living a mediocre life, or living the life of a boiling frog? Why, I say, just go out there in success. And if I can help you, and I know Wayne's heart is in the right place. If Wayne can help you, Wayne, go follow him. We can help. We will. DM us, connect with us, follow us, communicate with us. We can help you. Don't be alone. As Nancy Barrows said in her post today, it's don't be fooled by the algorithm. Don't go by the numbers, go by the heart. And so with that, we will see you next week as we continue amazing trios. Who will it be? Will it be Cream? I've already done Rush, but I might do Rush again. Who knows? Will it be Cream? Will it be Rush? Who will it be? A list. I looked at a list. They have Ben Folds 5 on there. Okay, not a big Ben Folds 5, but they are a trio. But I'm not going to do it. I would put Triumph over them, and Triumph is a Midlands, okay band who had a couple of great songs, and they're from Canada. Anyway, who knows? Tune in next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Amazing Trios. Who will it be? I don't know. Anyways, here's how I use copyrights. See you later.